Order. We do have a lot on not only our work session or our regular meeting agenda, but we have a lot on the work session agenda. We're going to need an exec session before the meeting, and we need to break for exec session around 7. So if we can, we'll go through the discussion items. If there's anything that we can push off. If we've got time, of course, tonight, we'll discuss it, but if we're getting close on time.
You can push mine off, it's not time critical.
Okay.
Work session.
I just want to let y'all know the time issues we've got, so that I don't want you to feel like I'm cutting you off. Okay, so let's first review the regular business meeting. After the call to order, I was going to make an announcement to I think there's some confusion on the Summit Chase rezoning, that some people are thinking that what's on the agenda is for the back 9, potentially. Were you seeing some of that?
Oh, no, I know which it's for.
I know you do, but I'm afraid some of the public thinks that
I've seen some Facebook comments.
Right, that there's something on the agenda for Summit Chase. So I was just going to make an announcement at the beginning of the meeting. If anyone here is to talk about the back 9 issues, they will have to wait till public comment at the very end. It's not this rezoning. So I just wanted to let people know that up front. It sounds like we're going to have a pretty big crowd tonight too, with the Oak Road zoning as well. So I'll make that announcement like we did. This room will be set up for people for overflow, and then I'll let people know that we'll give a few minutes in between each vote to swap rooms if somebody's in the council chambers for zoning that they're not really interested in, to allow more people to be in there if we need it. Kelly McAloon said she'll do the invocation. Anybody want to do the pledge? Solange. And then we have the Arbor Day proclamation, the minutes. So we have the second reading for Meritage Homes. Any questions or issues? Jason?
Mayor, how do you want to handle that as far as, do you want to open it up to public hearing again, or do you just want to have the applicant come forward and submit the new site plan, or how do you want to do that part of it?
We've already had the public hearing, right?
Well, I mean, I've given my thing, and I think we all know what we're there for, and anybody in attendance, and we want to just, I mean, how do we need to handle it, is what I'm asking as far as, like, legality. What do you think, Mr. Ross?
If you've already held a public hearing, then it's just a matter, I mean, you all can discuss among yourselves, but you're a vote.
Okay.
So you don't have to have any further.
Well, I don't mind coming up and like putting the site plan on here. So
Yeah, why don't you come up and at least explain what's new or different, and
direct questions to the applicant, you can ask them, and then that should be, I just want to make sure procedurally we're in the right place.
is everybody good with that?
And you'll announce we've already had the public hearing, because I don't want people to think we're skipping that.
Okay, then we have the second reading on the concept engineering, the Rejoice in the Word Church. Anything for Jason or anything to discuss before the meeting? Then we have the Patrick Malloy Company's Summit Chase rezoning. Anything on that one? For the work session?
On the buffer that's shown as, I think it's 1.5 acres, I'm not sure the exact size.
1.1.
1.1 undisturbed, want it to be an undisturbed buffer rather than a planted, or just want to leave it in its natural state.
Okay, and then maybe planning where it's partially planted, do you want to mix some stuff in there?
Yeah, just want to retain as much of the growth that's there, because it is, if it's going to be maintained as open space anyway, it'd be nice to be able to keep what you can, because it is inhabited. That's where I saw my first live armadillo and
boy.
all that sort of, I mean, there's all sorts of exotic wildlife.
That lady, the family that lived at the end.
I don't know if it was a boy or a girl armadillo.
The lady armadillo, but the family, there's a couple that lives at the end actually has like a little animal sanctuary.
Oh.
It's interesting. Okay.
Okay, then we have the second reading on the Oak Road property, that infill development. Any questions, comments there? And then the Tomco property. Jason, can you just explain why we're not allowing interparcel access between those two properties?
Well, because the way we wrote the report, there's basically, they requested an LM use for an office professional building, which offers freedoms to them down the road if they wanted to make it more intensive. So for purposes of the zoning, we recommended instead OP for what they're showing, and if they change their minds or need to change something, they would have to come back before us. And because we didn't want like the LM mixing with the OP uses, we don't want trucks and other stuff accessing that corner for the commercial end of the business, and we wanted to kind of keep that separate. If that's something you guys would rather have, a drive, I mean, we're not necessarily against it. That's why we allow for like people to go back and forth, but not necessarily, you know, big cargo trucks or stuff that's gonna be coming out right there on the corner in an office professional building. So that was the thought process. I mean, whether, we don't have to, I mean, that was just a recommendation.
Okay.
Didn't you say you had a new site plan you were gonna?
Well, I talked to
present?
the applicant, the one I sent out today that has the traffic circle in it is the newest and only other one I've got. And if you don't have a paper copy, I can make one with you, right?
I thought, okay, well,
I thought there was gonna be a third one, but,
Okay.
after I spoke with the applicant's attorney this morning, he said because they felt like 3 access points was better than 2, they didn't push it all the way up, but from what I understand, talking to them, they don't have a problem where the building goes. So for you guys,
Okay.
So this one with the 3 access points is the most.
yeah, in the right of way taken from the corner where they kind of push forward, is this the one you have? I'll see you.
Okay.
yeah, one of the reasons I communicated with you as soon as the planning commission was done was we really, because of the adjacent residential that surrounds it, wanted to make sure that this didn't have parking or a drive in front of it, so.
Well, I think from what I understand, and I'm not speaking for the applicant, but the thought process was that because it was in a residential district, that they were pushing the building as far away from the road and they were gonna landscape the parking lot. So, that was their thought process,
Okay.
not
All
definitive.
right.
But I think it's just a 2-story building, 1-story, really long. I'll let them speak.
Okay.
I'm not married to anyone.
Yeah, the email you sent, oh,
I can make everybody a copy of it.
When did,
well,
what
we'll
time
see
did
it
you
in
send
there.
it?
Early this
10:58.
morning.
Because I don't see one with the roundabout.
Well,
it doesn't
no,
show
it
the
doesn't,
roundabout.
Oh, it doesn't show the roundabout.
It
Got
just
it.
shows the where they're taking, they're right away on the corner.
I got it.
there. And then they modeled their plan to fit theirs as well.
Okay. Okay, and then we just have one item under new business regarding an easement for the Gwinnett County water metering device and easement.
Just a standard agreement that GWR requires for maintenance and access to a water vault.
Mayor and Butch, that was a DDA activity. It got accidentally put on your agenda. It doesn't, there's no action for you to take. The DDA took care of that.
Oh,
Good.
Unless they.
The DDA is the owner of the property. say, and they're the ones done and the sign off, and so you can strike that from your agenda.
Okay, and then we'll have council reports. All right, so now we'll go back to the work session agenda. Any correspondence?
No, ma'am. Well, there was correspondence, but that's for the executive session.
Okay. Chuck, anything for the city attorney's report?
Just need for executive session.
Okay. Butch, update on projects?
We'll go through these pretty quick because the executive session is going to talk about a couple of these. The town center construction progress. I know you got your update last week, just looking through here. Phase one, the site work, we have encountered some rock. To this point, it was somewhere around $8,000 worth of rock removal. There is another vein that has been discovered. We aren't sure about that yet. Overall, we've been pretty lucky, but we'll just see about this last piece. The Grove plans, I sent everybody out an updated budget last week, revenue and expenditure budget to look through. We should have, I know there's a call tomorrow with Michael Kidd regarding the digital kiosks. And I'm hoping later this week or early next week, there will be a further call on the value engineering work. I put a budget number in there, which basically, we need to have a separate meeting to talk about. I made several calls there, but we'll look at that, and hopefully Michael can get that organized within the next week. The county, the construction bids go out this week, and they are, I think they're saying that they will be done in September of 2022. Parking deck progress, all of the site work is going very well. We still have a pad ready date of May the 10th. Kurt, that hasn't changed, has it?
Has not.
Still looking at May the 10th. Multifamily residential, as far as the plans are concerned, the permit is I put imminent in there, Jason. I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, we're actually meeting with the PM tomorrow for some last second, it's just basically administrative work.
And all the parties are coordinating very well with the master schedule, so we'll know what everybody is doing and when. Stormwater master detention, work has begun on the phase one site, going well along with the site work. Market design and development, we just received the Placemaker AIA contract proposal. Chuck has that under review. City bond issuance, I had a great call today with Moody's, a ratings call where they were very complimentary of the city. I think we'll at least maintain, of course, we're going to ask for a AAA rating, but we aren't going to get it in our size and everything, but everything was very positive there. Public infrastructure right-of-way improvements, that process continues after our walkthrough visit. There'll be last week there was not a call with Larry Kaiser. There will be one this Wednesday for an update, and we'll send that out. Sign ordinance, we still have some work to do on the sign ordinance, but we've been working so hard on the documents in closing that that's just been kind of pushed down the road. All the property easements are in place. Sanitary sewer expansion, the pre-con was completed on April the 19th. Work should begin by the middle of May, and we have a very good line of communication with everybody involved in that project. Dickerson Group is going to be doing that construction, and they do a great job for us. So that kind of is an update. We do have an item for executive session regarding the town center. Just real quickly, human resources issues. We'll have good discussion in our budget meetings. I think those are next week. I think we have those worked out for next Tuesday and Wednesday. Todd, can you be here Wednesday afternoon at 4? next Wednesday afternoon. I think Solange and Christie can.
Can I get numbers before then? Can I have something to look at before then?
Oh, yeah, you'll get that out.
All right.
We continue to work on identifying the best areas for annexation. Sidewalk improvements, I know the committee continues to look at that. Dave, you had an item on the work session. We have a meeting with District 1 officials next week to talk about encroachments and the minimal encroachments that we want as far as the walls are concerned, as well as the dressing up the detention ponds. So hopefully, you never accept the first answer from DOT, you always go back. So we're working on that. UDO and alcoholic beverage code, I haven't had a chance to see if the governor signed that bill or not. It's probably still on his desk. Senior center operations, we have some special activities coming up in May to work our way back into a June reopening of the center. Well, I think that was an item on the work session. Lisa's back from vacation, if you have some questions there. Briscoe Park improvements, we need to schedule a meeting someday after 4 where we can get you guys after school and walk through. I think you'll see a big difference there. And that pretty much the quality of life issues. Gretchen came to a meeting the other day where we met with the Presidential Commons group. They're behind the Five Below, and with the dumpster issues there, we had everybody out there. We had Greg Perry, we had people from, Gay Johnson was there, we had people from Waste Management, and their property manager, I think, was very, very helpful. She's interested in, I think Greg was gonna get her some information on a flock camera. It's really the only way you're gonna catch public dumpers. But the waste management folks were gonna realign the dumpsters according to what the truck drivers could do. We're gonna go talk to Five Below about the way they handle their cardboard. I think you'll see some improvements there. We also talked about truck parking. She was not certain what she could or could not do. She doesn't want those trucks there any more than we do. So we're working with her on that. And I think that was an hour well spent.
It was a very good meeting, yeah. And she's just as eager to fix things as we are, so.
Today at noon, there was only one truck there.
Okay.
So
And
it's a-
she said
it's
some
a
of the
great improvement.
problem that the truck drivers remove their tags when they park there, although Johnny said he can still figure out who it is.
Well, some of them had their name on the side of the truck.
It's like Johnny's favorite saying, you know, this problem didn't occur overnight. We aren't gonna be able to solve it overnight. But he works very hard on it. So that's about all I have.
Okay. Gretchen, landscaping around the two,
Well,
Roundabout.
that's something we can continue to talk about, but I've just had some contact from local folks that are interested in seeing us do some kind of landscaping of the roundabouts, and I think it would help them a lot, improve the appearance of them whenever we can look into doing that.
well, and I got a complaint, I think on Friday, the one at Fars in Ridgedale, of course, on the county right away, the grass has grown up, they haven't cut it. And I know Butch has been talking with the county about maintenance on there. So hopefully we'll get that resolved soon, that they'll at least cut the grass over there. So, but it'd be nice to have some kind of
Some
plan.
shrubbery or something in the center of them.
Well, maybe when we talk, Butch, when we talk to the county about the landscaping maintenance,
We already have.
Can we also talk to them?
The county is responsible internally for the Ridgedale roundabout. They're ordering new equipment. They've got to cut the lot that we acquired. And then we also have talked to the private company that's responsible for the north and FARs. And they told us they would be on it this week. So we've hit the people that are responsible for the work.
Can we
That's-
talk with the county about landscaping in the middle on what we're allowed to do?
They told us if you want to come up with a simple plan, there's always an agreement that has to be worked out with the county. And I said, well, give me a sample agreement. We'll look at it, we'll put a plan with it, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So we just need to come up with some ideas there then. Okay, Dave, you want to cover yours?
Yeah, I just wanted to get an update because we've been talking about what to do with the wall along 78 on both sides, and also the detention pond, about getting something which Butch has already covered, and I imagine the walls as well. We have to get the blessing of the county.
Those walls are the state DOT.
Yeah, that's DOT. I mean, we just need to go ahead there will be an encroachment permit depending on what they allow us to do. We know we can go ahead. John Davis should have a plan very shortly for beautifying the detention ponds in the whole area. I know that, we stay on the CID as far as the mowing and the basic landscaping, because that's in the CID, and they've added it to their contract. But that's just the basics that we're gonna get
And
there.
what about the wall with the headless people?
Which one?
The wall with the headless people,
We're gonna ask them if we can paint it.
okay?
So, and whether that's one solid color or, sandblast it back to, original concrete, we just want to know we want to do something. And we know they don't want to do anything with it, so.
And then what about the one on M&P? Can we put some planter boxes in
We
there?
talked about beautifying that.
Right.
And that's where they put their foot down the strongest as far as having anything on that side of the wall, anything that sticks out. So, but we'll see.
But we may be able to paint.
So if you can't have it on the street side of it.
Put it on the
you hang
back side and let
boxes
them
on the
grow over.
back, And then just make sure so that works.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we could plant ivy in there and let it grow over the wall.
Then we'd have to get the goats out to eat the ivy
Yeah. That'd be the problem.
Yeah.
Well, we could poach the armadillos from that property and bring them over.
They're by your house.
Okay, then we have the update on the senior center reopening. Christie?
Yeah, if we could give a little bit more detail, when Gretchen and I were able to sit in on the advisory board meeting a few weeks ago, we had talked about some sort of transition plan being in place for May 1st soft opening. What events are able to take place in May, and how are we proceeding with getting to more of a full opening in June?
It's definitely gonna be a modified, what we're calling a modified opening. So we'll have two SPRD events in May. One's a family food event on the 6th, and then we'll have a personal safety and scams class on the 13th. Those will be open to any senior members that want to be a part of that. And then for groups, we're gonna have 3 groups back in May: crochet and knitting, anytime stitching, which is quilters, and Pilates.
Oh, great,
So
okay.
we'll have those 3. They each do once a week on different days. So we'll be open just for those groups to come in, to kind of let us see how that can work with modifications. We have the room setups are modified for the distancing and all of that, so we want to see if our numbers are kind of on, or if we can increase it at all, or do anything like that. So we're starting with those groups. I know Spanish class kept getting mentioned, but just so you know, they've been virtual, and they're going to stay virtual per instructor. because normally they only go through May anyway, and then they're off in the summer, and then they start back up. So when they start back up, she'll probably go back to in person, but I know that particular class kept coming up, so I was kind of not really sure about that.
So, I'm sorry, knitting, crocheting,
It's,
Pilates, and what was the third one?
Well, crochet and knitting is
Is
just
one
one.
class.
Okay.
Anytime stitching, which is the
Anytime
quilters, is another group.
Oh, okay.
And then Pilates is our third group.
Gotcha.
So we'll start out with those three, along with the two events, if that's what you want to call them, that we're going to do. So the senior center won't technically be open. We'll just be doing those particular items, and we'll let them in, let them do what they gotta do, and see how the process goes. Obviously, we'll be sanitizing, doing some things, but just to see logistically how it all kind of works, and again, keeping the distancing, figure out if our numbers, kind of walked it off and figured it out, but then there's when people actually come, how does it really work? We won't let them, a couple of these groups, sometimes they do like a luncheon and then do whatever they're doing, so we're not gonna do any food prep or even sharing of food. They could bring, snacks or something, but we're not gonna do any of that yet until we see how that kind of works. But that's kind of our plan. So, second week in May, or, after we've had a couple of weeks, we'll see how that goes, and then we can start talking about June and what other modifications, if any, we need to make before we were to just open.
Great.
That's very similar, to be honest with you, I did finally talk to Gwinnett County. That's very
That was my
similar to
next
what they're
question.
doing. They're doing a modified opening starting the 3rd also, but they're a little different because they don't have necessarily membership, so they're only allowing 22 people in each building at any given time. They're also only going to be open 4 hours a day, 2 hours in the morning, then they're closing so they can sanitize, and then 2 hours in the afternoon. They're not doing a meal program or anything like that either, until they kind of can see what's going on. So our satellite program that we usually have, right now we don't have a date, so I don't know when we'll start that back up again.
Last Monday, I saw that Cobb County centers, senior centers were open. Were you able to reach out, I know it's your first day back, to what's happening in Cobb in comparison
No,
to
I
Gwinnett?
wasn't able to. I know there's, there was probably about 6 that have counties that have opened modified, and there's about, more closer to us, there's about 3 and maybe 4 cities that don't even have a date yet, so it's still kind of it's weird, it's kind of a hodgepodge really of who's doing what. I know the city of Roswell did open modified, but Alpharetta, Woodstock, they're not open yet. So I was gonna try to give everybody a couple of weeks, and then maybe call Gwinnett. When I talked to Gwinnett, they said the same thing, that we'll touch base in a couple of weeks and kind of see how it went with them, and how it went with us. It's a little different how we're doing it.
So as of Monday the 3rd, will be open modified?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
But when you say open modified, the senior center won't actually be open.
Correct. We'll have,
You'll
those
have
groups in there,
activities,
we'll have
and
our-
it'll be open, the door will be open to people participating in those activities.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
It'll just help us to really kind of, really, to be honest with you, see how it all works and figure out, because really, as you know, we have a lot of groups, so it'll help us kind of figure out the flow, and everybody gets different times that they come in and different days. So I think this will help us to kind of see how all of that goes, to make sure everybody does feel safe when they come in, not just in their own little group, but, the groups are coming and going.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we have allocation of the COVID relief funds.
But it's 7 o'clock, so how do you want to do that? I just want to make sure that it was dropped at the last meeting, just kind of as an aside, that there was a certain amount of money that was projected to be coming to the city for COVID relief funds, and I want to make sure that mayor and council has an opportunity to review where that should be allocated before it goes through a budgetary process, before we all get a.
I'm sorry, I
Set our
can't wait
priorities.
that time.
I know.
Yeah,
There's a big webinar this week with GMA. I think you've got the information. you know, they've got to be a lot more specific on the guidelines and the uses. It's going to be more flexible than the CARES money, but that's going to be very helpful, over $6 million.
Right. Well, I just want to make sure that some of our priorities, as far as sidewalks and infrastructure, are actually addressed.
Yeah, that'll be a great discussion.
Good, sounds good.
There is a feeling in the community that our only focus has been on the town center. And so I think it's incumbent on us to make sure that we broaden our vision as we spend that money.
Paint that wall, huh? That'll get a lot of good comments.
Okay, so
Or
that, we made it
install
through
bubble wrap.
our work session agenda, so during the work session of the mayor and city council of Snellville, Georgia, Mayor Bender announced that certain matters should be discussed in a closed session of the meeting and asked council to advise the city with respect to closing the meeting.